Oh my god, hey! Welcome back to my staged YouTube channel. If you're seeing my face for the first time, my name is Mickey Joe and I am obsessed with all things theatre. Now, I recently made a little video on the internet about the reception to Beanie Feldstein's performance in Funny Girl and the reviews for the Broadway revival. Seeing as this video has been viewed a few times now on YouTube, I felt like I owed it to you, my YouTube audience, to give you a follow-up in the most recent episode of the Funny Girl news. So after I made that video, the Tony Awards happened. Beanie Feldstein was not nominated for a Tony Award for Best Leading Actress in a Musical. In fact, the production was not nominated in any categories except for Jared Grimes for Best Supporting Actor in a Musical. And he got some quite good notices, so this isn't a huge surprise. The conspicuous shutouts were Beanie Feldstein, Jane Lynch and Ramin Karimloo for their performances in the show, as well as the show itself for Best Revival, Mike Mayer for Best Director, all of the above. In fact, Funny Girl did not even perform on the Tonys and was scarcely mentioned. Someone commented on Twitter, you could watch this year's Tony Awards and have no idea that there was a major revival of Funny Girl. In fact, the first major Broadway revival of Funny Girl. All of which makes it very difficult to see this revival as anything other than a failure. This show, which has been talked about, and this revival which has been anticipated for so many years, decades even, was barely talked about at the biggest theatrical event of the year. Let that sink in. So on the back of all of this, Beanie Feldstein has announced that she will be departing the production this coming September, as well as Jane Lynch, who was always set to leave the show at that date. Both of them are TV and film actresses, so it is completely conceivable that they will be going on to do screen work, but Beanie Feldstein's earlier than planned departure may suggest other reasons. Essentially, when your father is linked to the production of the show, it becomes easier to make these kind of decisions. You can say, I want out, or your publicist can say you want out, or your agent can say that they want you out, and it happens. It is also worth saying Beanie Feldstein has been missing a few performances recently, some of which are due to COVID, but the reception for her understudy, Julie Benko, has been phenomenal, and I am not the kind of person who listens to audio bootlegs on Twitter, but theoretically, if I had, then I could imagine that the one that I heard sounded fantastic. In fact, the response to Julie has been so great that the box office really hasn't been affected by Beanie's absence from the show. It continues to sell very well. It's earning over $1 million a week. And a lot of people are calling for Julie to be the replacement when Beanie leaves in September, which would be a very big deal. And that's what I'm here to talk about today. Who do we think is going to be replacing Beanie Feldstein in Funny Girl? As I see it, there are two options. On the one hand, you have Julie Benko. You know, she's been understudying in the role, she's already attached to the production, she's been getting great word of mouth. Obviously, she hasn't been reviewed because a principal understudy isn't reviewed by critics on Broadway, but the fans who have seen the show have said great things about her performance. She is another Jewish actress. It seems very important to these producers and the creative team of this revival to cast this role authentically with a Jewish actress in this iconic Jewish role. And by all accounts, it sounds as though she can sing the score more confidently in the way that people expect to hear it than Beanie Feldstein. Now in the blue corner, hovering over this revival as she has been from the beginning without even saying a word or necessarily asking to be implicated in all of this, is Lea Michele. Now if you don't know who Lea Michele is because you've been living under a stagey rock for the last 2 decades, Lea Michele is an actress best known for her work on Glee, who has since gone on to appear in other Ryan Murphy projects and further her TV career. Prior to this, she was a Broadway baby. She was in the original Broadway cast of Ragtime. She was in Les Mis. She was in Spring Awakening as Wendla, her real big break. She recently performed on the 2022 Tony Awards with the original cast of Spring Awakening, just to remind Broadway that she's still alive. And during her final seasons on Glee, her character Rachel Berry played Fanny Brice in a Broadway Funny Girl revival. Since the first season, she's been singing many of the songs on the show, and it's been no secret that Lea Michele has been widely considered for this role. And you need only look in the comments section of my last Funny Girl video when I talked about the shortcomings of Beanie Feldstein's performance and her frosty reception to see all of the people who said they should have cast Lea Michele instead. From the beginning of this, it has been this Beanie Feldstein versus Lea Michele debate, even though no one officially ever named Lea Michele as having been in contention for this role. She never said anything about it, but the writing was always on the wall. She was the big name everyone assumed would lead a Funny Girl revival when it came to fruition. So the fact that she didn't and became this laughingstock, because not only did she not get the part, but Jane Lynch, her Glee co-star, was surprisingly to everyone cast in this production as Fanny Brice's mother. Insult, injury, smush. So Lea Michele has not been having a great time on social media with all of this. It's been fairly humiliating for her. Cut to, Beanie Feldstein is not reviewed well in this production, Beanie is not nominated for a Tony, Beanie is not seen anywhere at the Tonys and does not perform at the ceremony. Lea Michele does perform at the Tony Awards. The optics of this are not lost on me, nor are they lost on many of you. Because let me tell you, people noticed. And many people think it seems as though Lea Michele is perpetrating a deliberate return to the public eye. Her absence from which has both been because she's been touring, she's been trying to have a music career, she's been having a baby, and we also need to discuss the allegations of racism. Now, during lockdown, one of her former Glee co-stars criticised her openly for having behaved in a heinously racist way during her time on the show. And while nobody else levelled as strong an accusation, you can certainly read between the lines of her co-star's responses to that tweet, as well as other things that have been said and body language that has been perceived in videos in the past, to see that there is a general mutual understanding of this behaviour. Whether it has been consistently racist behaviour to her co-stars or just general divaness remains unclear. But whether it was for that reason, whether it was because Beanie Feldstein's father was attached to the mounting of this revival, whether it was because the creative team wanted someone more of a comedy actress, less of a strong vocalist, they ended up going a very different route for the casting of this revival. Beanie Feldstein is a very different choice. Are they now seeing that that didn't work and they are now walking it backwards, changing direction and going with Lea Michele as many people thought they originally would have done? If nothing else, she will definitely sell a lot of tickets. And the reason we think this might be happening now is because it has been leaked on a gossip site called De Moi. Allegedly, Lea Michele is going to be replacing Beanie Feldstein in September, and the cast have already been told. So we have these two options, and so interesting is this Lea Michele rumour, and so fought for is this Julie Benko idea, that I haven't actually seen any other names in contention whatsoever. The kind of names that used to be floating around for Funny Girl, like Jessie Mueller, like Shoshana Bean, like Jessica Vosk. Not all of those are age appropriate for the role, and when we're talking about any other ideas of potential casting, one thing that does seem clear is that the producers seem very committed to having a Jewish actress in this role. Even if they aren't as fussed about having a Jewish actress playing Fanny Brice's mother, interestingly enough. So do I think either of these things will happen? I think the answer to this is it very much depends on what the producers want the longevity of this revival to be. If the writing is on the wall that the show only has a few more months left in it after Beanie Feldstein's departure, then I could see them giving Julie Benko the opportunity and letting her ride out the rest of the run, giving a star-making performance, and they will give it a nice PR spin. They will say, it's A Star is Born. Julie Benko took up the mantle when she needed to. Understudies saving the day, especially right now on Broadway. There is this huge backing of understudies who are taking up the responsibility to save shows who are losing their leads to COVID. We saw this with Max Clayton finally getting to go on, with Hugh Jackman getting COVID at the Tony Awards to save The Music Man. I feel like if they do go with Julie Benko, we would expect to see some more star casting to replace Jane Lynch as Fanny's mother. Previously, Rosie O'Donnell's name has been attached to this revival. People have talked about Fran Drescher being attached to this show. On the other hand, if the producers want the show to run longer and maybe pick up a bit more steam and regain some more public interest that it lost when Beanie Feldstein was not reviewed particularly well, kind of reignite its word of mouth and its buzz, Lea Michele would be a great change of pace. If they did cast Lea Michele, I'm hoping her star power might mean you wouldn't have to go with as much of a celebrity route for Fanny Brice's mother. Maybe we would see Linda Lavin, Jane Howdyshell, Jackie Hoffman, all hugely talented actresses, but very much with more of a theatre background than being widely known for film and TV. It's worth saying they've all done film and TV projects, but that is not predominantly how they are known. They don't have that same level of name recognition. I don't think we're going to get the megastar replacement of someone like a Lady Gaga, who has previously been talked about for a Funny Girl revival, simply because I don't think she would ever replace. That seems too tall an order for her level of star power. If Lady Gaga is going to be on Broadway, a show is going to be built around her from the beginning. She is not going to go in and be a replacement. I could be proved wrong about that one, but I will be shocked. Now, another good question to ask here, do we think Lea Michele actually would replace Beanie Feldstein in Funny Girl? You know, it was a particularly humiliating time for her when she wasn't cast in the Broadway revival, as everyone was expecting for her to be. Another Glee cast member was cast in the revival alongside Beanie Feldstein. Social media was not kind to Lea Michele during this time, so my first instinct was to think that Lea Michele's publicist would want her nowhere near this project. However, the fact that Beanie has not been received particularly well in the role, did not have any kind of success at the Tony Awards, means Lea Michele has an opportunity opportunity here to really go in and, without pitting actresses against each other, the public perception would be that she would be one-upping her very much and saving the show and giving an altogether stronger performance if she is reviewed well. And I think her ability to deliver the strong Barbra Streisand-esque vocals would give her a very good chance of that. Equally, if they give the role to Julie, then they could re-invite reviewers, have this big relaunch of the show, and just say that she is a natural-born, Broadway-raised star without having to be a name. Then they could try and ride on that buzz and ride on that narrative. I just don't think it's strong enough when Funny Girl is such a star vehicle to sell it to the tourists. You could sell it to a Broadway crowd, I just don't think it would give the show the longevity that the producers may want here, especially given their initial investment in mounting this production. What's particularly interesting is it's obviously very different circumstances, but this show had a similar kind of situation in London. The revival was opened with Sheridan Smith, with the same producers, with the same director, but a very different production. And Sheridan Smith ended up having to take a hiatus from the role due to personal circumstances, and her understudy, Natasha Barnes, ended up going on for her to some great acclaim. This gave Natasha Barnes an awful lot of mileage in terms of recognition in the industry for her, and hopefully this opportunity will do the same for Julie Benko. Do we even think that Beanie will continue performing until September? Is she going to see out her run, or is she going to attempt to duck out before then? If she does do something like that and doesn't actually finish her contract, I would think that that would make it very difficult for Broadway producers to see her as a viable casting option for many future shows. And given that she seems so enamored with musical theatre, that would be a bold career choice. Let's not forget, she is still currently in the middle of filming this 10-year-long Merrily We Roll Along film adaptation, but between her tanking Funny Girl, Ben Platt not being well liked after Dear Evan Hansen, and whatever the other one is allegedly hitting his girlfriend who was also on Glee, that show was cursed, the Merrily film is not going well. So I'm curious to know what all of you think about this. Do we think Lea Michele is going to go in the show? Would you go and see it if Lea Michele was in the show? Is Lea Michele as Rachel Berry, as Lea Michele, as Fanny Brice something you would buy a ticket for? Or do you think she still needs to be held account for her alleged racism in the past? Let me know in the comment section down below. This is a juicy piece of gossip and I'm sure people will have many, many thoughts about it. If you have another idea of who could play Fanny Brice when Beanie Feldstein leaves the production, let me know that in the comment section down below as well and we will discuss it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed. If you have, make sure to subscribe to my Stagey YouTube channel for plenty more content coming very regularly about all your favourite shows on Broadway and in the West End. Also, if you want to support me as a Stagey content creator, head over to patreon.com/MickeyJoeTheatre, where you can gain access to some exclusive photo and video content. I hope that everyone is staying safe and that you have a stagey day.
For 10 more seconds, I'm Mickey Joe Theatre. Oh my god, hey. Thanks for watching, have a stagey day. Subscribe!